JD Vance has actually been going viral. And he went viral because he spent some time on ABC going back and forth about what's happening with illegal immigration in this country. My dog wants to howl. Love that. There are Venezuelan gangs that are actually taking over apartment complexes here in the United States of America. A Venezuelan gang can roll up to your apartment complex where you might be sitting right now watching this show, guns a-blazing, force you out of your home or force you to be stuck in your home, and we just put our hands up and say, it's not happening. Or if it is happening, it's just a few apartment complexes. Let's watch the clip.
The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border? Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
Yeah, and you can hear she's flailing in the background trying to interrupt him to get back in there. And she actually ends this clip by interrupting him and saying, well, just for the record, it's only a few apartment complexes. And JD Vance goes, yeah, only a few apartment complexes taken over by Venezuelan gangs. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that way. We greatly appreciate that you're willing to say that live on air. It's just so crazy. It shows you that you do not hate the media enough. With all of this stuff that is impacting you on a day-to-day basis, they're focusing on what? Calling Trump a racist, a sexist, saying that he's trying to attack women. They're going after JD Vance for making comments about childless cat ladies, as if that's at all important to how you're living your daily life as an American. And when you have actual American people being impacted by literal gangs taking over their apartment, it's hard to put into perspective because it's difficult to imagine because we've led lives of general comfort for quite some time. General comfort. If you are living in your home right now, imagine you get a knock at your door. You go and answer that door, and a gang comes into your house and takes the place where you live. I know it's hard to fathom, but it is happening right now as we speak. And of course, we have proof of this. We want to substantiate this. We don't just want to talk about it. Here are some clips.
See if you can find that story on the Venezuelan gangs taking over the apartment building in Colorado.
We have new information on what we've learned is happening inside an apartment complex. This video shows armed men walking through a building, knocking on doors, then entering an apartment. The apartment complex is at 12th and Dallas and Aurora.
In doing so, have taken over several apartment complexes.
Venezuelan gangs are taking over the real estate. They're becoming real estate developers. And they have...
Do they get little cards?
Their little card is a bullet.
Yes!
Kamala Harris will work to deliver on that and secure the border.
Who's to blame? Carousel, if you will, continues. The city says the property management team is simply not doing enough to help these residents. In an interview with that property management team last week, they say that building is actually being controlled by a certain gang, and they feel helpless. There's nothing they can do about it.
They've, in fact, have kind of pushed out the property management through intimidation and then collected the rents. And arrests have been made, but these operations are still ongoing.
See if you can find that.
It's fucking insane, guys. That's crazy. It's crazy. And it's so much more than this. It's taking over the apartment complexes. It's threatening people's lives. It's robbing people. It's looting stores. They're doing organized crimes where they're going in and breaking and entering into people's households. They're stealing cell phones from people. They are killing people. They are raping people. And Kamala Harris and a lot of leftists will respond to this by saying, American citizens commit crimes too. 100% of these crimes are preventable by not allowing these people past the border. She goes on 60 Minutes. She does an interview. The interviewer asks her, during your time in this administration, the rate of illegal immigration into this country actually quadrupled. What do you have to say about that? She says, you know what? We're working to fix the problem. The thing is, we're working to fix the problem, and that's what matters. Okay, even if you fix the problem, and let's say you slow down the rate of illegal immigration at our border to a rate that which we've never seen before. It's so low. What about the millions of people that came into the country while you weren't working on the issue? In fact, you were actively working to make the issue worse. What about those people? What are you going to do about them? But she can't even utter the word mass deportation because she'll get accused of xenophobia, Islamophobia, hating immigrants, not wanting people to be able to live the American dream. The ideology is so tainted. It is so rank. And you know what it leads to? American lives being lost. It leads to people being holed up in their apartments by Venezuelan gangs. And here's another video. So you can see a woman who's actually been personally impacted by this.
The topic, but now there's video and victims they can't deny.
It's really like being held hostage.
Cindy was a prisoner in her own home. She's lived in this building at 12th and Dallas for years. This summer, when crime got worse, Cindy got cameras. Doorbell video shows a group of armed men forcing their way into her neighbor's home. Another night, her camera outside captured two men approaching a vehicle, guns drawn. She's called 911 so often, they know her by name.
He said, ever considered leaving? If I could afford to leave, I wouldn't be there.
She says neighbors fall asleep to gunfire. Her car still damaged from an overnight shootout.
This is a bullet hole.
It was one of the few times Aurora police responded.
They will call me and say, I'm sorry, but we're not coming. We're not coming until it's a bad enough crime.
The topic, but now
we're not coming until it's a bad enough crime. We have personal experience of this. Taylor used to live in LA. I live in LA now. You call the police and let them know you have a problem. And they say, oh, well, not a big enough problem. We have other things to deal with. We have much bigger fires to put out at this moment. And that's what people are experiencing all across the United States now. Brought to you by Kamala Harris. And we can extend that if we want a good old Harris-Walz administration before us. I'm seeing a lot of people saying she's going to win this election. I think Bill Maher even said, there's no question she's going to win this election. I don't know what to expect if that's the case. I don't know. I'm seeing so much support of Donald Trump. I'm seeing so much people waking up that I'm like, I just hope that these people are mobilized enough to show up and show out when it comes time to vote, because this is how you're going to be impacted. These are the stories that we're going to continue to hear about. And even in a Trump presidency, you're going to continue to hear these stories because there's millions of illegal immigrants already in the country. Do you know how much work it takes to roll that back, to find people, to get them out, especially after their government, your government, has paid with your tax dollars to disperse them all over the United States of America, by train, by bus, by plane, by car. They are literally everywhere. And of course, not all of them are criminals, but clearly a lot of them are. So how long do you think it's going to take to do the work, to take care of this issue? I'll let y'all marinate on that. That's what I'm going to be marinating on. I have to figure out. I got to figure, you know what? I need to stay strapped. I need my blicky on the dresser because this is not going to work for me. It's not gonna. If a Venezuelan gang shows up at my door, I'm not going to go down not fighting. You're not going to lock me up in my apartment. If I'm getting got, you're getting got first. We're all going to die.